Nomark is a talented producer, beatmaker, and vocalist from Slovenia best known for his music that draws influence from the genres of EDM, cloud rap, hyperpop, and metal. Nomark is a gifted artist and hopefully this video helps you learn a little more about him. Nomark grew up in Slovenia, taking an interest in music from a young age. His first means of musical expression came from taking piano lessons as a kid. Nomark played piano for 5 years during primary school. Throughout primary school, Nomark's father gave him an appreciation for jazz, listening to artists such as Herbie Hancock and Pat Metheny, but his own favorite genre of music to listen to would grow into artists in the electronic category. He mentioned enjoying artists off the record label titled Monster Cat, with the artist Tristan being his favorite. By the time Nomark entered high school, he switched instruments and began learning the guitar and bass. Nomark was forming an appreciation for metal music around this time and said his reasoning behind picking up these instruments was just because these instruments seemed cooler to him at the time. Nomark learned how to play guitar and bass through the game Rocksmith. A few metal bands he mentioned enjoying include Batushka, Blind Guardian, Opeth, and Gojira. Nomark stated he fell in love with metal due to it making him feel like he was in a fantasy RPG. It's also worth mentioning late into high school is when Nomark took an interest in the genre of cloud rap, listening to artists such as Young Lean, Blade, and Derek Pope, but these influences will come into play later in his story. After learning how to play guitar and bass well enough, Nomark joined a couple of different bands. Being that Nomark is from a small town in Slovenia, it was hard to find other musicians. Due to the scarcity of musicians, the first band he joined at the age of 16 was made up of people in their 30s, well out of his age range. The band mostly wanted to cover old rock songs, and Nomark said he didn't see much of a future in it. He also said he felt he didn't have much input on the band's direction, and although the members were great musicians, Nomark soon left the band. The next band Nomark joined didn't work out for him either. The band was planning to be a power metal band but never got too far past its conception. Nomark's unsuccessful attempts at joining these bands would play a role in him turning to producing as a means to express himself through music. Nomark got a part-time job through school working at a recording studio during his final year of high school, and this would lead him into his first times experimenting on the music software FL Studio. Nomark really enjoyed producing for its process of being able to create music without having to rely on anyone else to do so. When Nomark first started producing, the beats he made would take on a dark trap sound with heavy 808s, but would soon begin to incorporate bright synth sounds from the influence of cloud rap he enjoyed as mentioned earlier. Nomark would upload his beats to YouTube, and after about a year of doing so, he was noticed by some of the bigger artists in the Slovenian scene, which would be a big confidence boost for him at the time. After some time of making beats, Nomark would realize that he cared too much about what he made to just send them out to artists. He shared a story about an artist using his beat on a song that received over 10,000 plays. Nomark thought the attention the song received was cool, but he wasn't a huge fan of the song itself. Nomark eventually decided to put his own vocals over the beats and found it to be creatively fulfilling. Around this time, Nomark went to see the artist Gigi D'Agostino live and was inspired to make fun melodic music himself. In the year 2019, Nomark went on to form his collective and YouTube channel titled A7 with hopes to make connections with Slovenian artists that shared the same creative vision. Nomark also began listening to the artists known as Capo XXO and Pascal, becoming heavily influenced by them. By the time 2020 rolled around, the collective was successful in finding new members that matched well creatively, and the collective started making a name for itself. The S7 collective began doing live shows in the countries of Slovenia, Croatia, and Serbia. However, more notably than the live shows being performed at the time were the Discord/Minecraft raves the collective were hosting. These raves were titled Nebesa raves, with the word Nebesa meaning heaven in Slovenian. A7 is actually an anagram for Nebesa being spelled backwards. The Nebesa raves initially hosted artists such as Capo XXO, Dreamcash, and Sienna Sleep. Nomark and Capo XXO would then go on to work together on these raves as a collaborative effort, hosting artists such as Joey, Sara Malakara, and Astari. Nomark would also go on to collaborate with Capo XXO on the song titled Kind of Magic. Nomark began to find a couple of his songs gaining international traction, such as the songs titled Celo Noche and Seldan. A professional League of Legends player known as Crowny noticed Nomark's music and featured a few of Nomark's songs on his Twitch livestream, giving Nomark a boost for his fanbase to start forming. Nomark started making a name for himself for his soft melodic voice, original catchy melodies, and nostalgic aesthetic. His aesthetic was and still is mostly a mixture of MSN figures with angelic heavenly imagery, heavily inspired by Frutiger Arrow, and in general just growing up on the 2000s internet. Nomark started more frequently performing bigger shows, and the A7 collective evolved from a local collective to a tight and passionate international community of music lovers and gamers. Around the middle of the year in 2022, Nomark's friend and fellow artist by the name of Clap Nick told Nomark about two underrated artists he discovered on TikTok known as Kitseki and Wujek. Nomark reached out to Kitseki and asked him if he wanted to be featured on the A7 YouTube channel. Nomark then uploaded 2 songs by Kitseki and Wujek, which resulted in them gaining a few of their first fans. Nomark quickly became friends with the artist and started frequently collaborating with them, the first collaboration being on the song titled Will You Be Mine. At the end of the year, A7 hosted another Minecraft rave and Nomark dropped his debut English EP titled DJ Marco, featuring international artists such as Wujek, Kitseki, Dirt, and Pros, alongside his older friends such as Clap, Nick, and Pruno. In the current year, Nomark started shifting towards his international fanbase, focusing on English music. However, he still also releases Slovenian music out of the passion he has for it. Nebesa raves, which were once exclusively online, became real-life events, and so far Nomark has hosted 2 of them. The first one being in January and the latest one being in April. The one in April was sold out and featured Meat Computer, Kitseki, Hubie the Kid, and Nomark himself. Currently, Nomark is trying to perfect his new English sound. In the future, he hopes to evolve Nebesa raves into international shows and just generally grow as an artist/person. Nomark is all around an ambitious creative, and I'm looking forward to see his future accomplishments. Well, that's all for this video. Big shout out to Hopeless for the edit, and please subscribe for more mini documentaries on various underground artists.